Welcome, welcome, welcome back.
That makes me happy. Blue is back for another colorful adventure, but this time he is taking over the Amazon Rio 2, brings the lovable bird back to the big screen. Your movie friend Aaron Dicer here to tell us all about it. And honestly, that 20-second clip is what I want to see, right?
Yes, you're already sold. Little Bruno Mars, and you know, you'll be there. It is good to see a couple new voices in this. Bruno Mars and Kristen Chenoweth also is in this and sings some stuff that's really fun. This is a sequel, and so the first thing people ask with the sequel is, how does it compare to the first one? You know, are we looking at similar? And I think this one is very much like the first one, except maybe a little, you know, downgrade it just a notch from what you thought of the first one. Because what happens in these sequels a lot of times is they'll add all these new characters, and we already mentioned a couple of them. There's several more. They'll keep the characters they had in the first one, and it all just kind of gets a little jumbled. You know, you see this in like Ice Age is the perfect example. They just keep tagging on these characters, and before you know it, there's too many things going on. You can't follow, you know, what's there. Plus, once you get past kind of the beauty of the music and the visuals in this, there's not really much of a story here to attach to.
Okay, so the storyline is not great. What is the storyline?
The storyline is basically they go to the Amazon and they are looking for kind of their long lost relatives, and there's that going on with the birds, and then with the humans there's this other thing going on with you know, a deforestation thing going on in the Amazon, and there's all these different lines that you're supposed to follow, and none of them really hit home, and I think that's really at the end of the day kind of the major problem.
Yeah, so were you like sold on it? I mean, did you laugh a lot? Like, is there
No, I smiled a little bit, and most of my laughing and smiling had to do with Kristen Chenoweth's character. She's this little pink poisonous frog, and she's really funny. But other than that, it's just kind of amusing. It's really one of those, I think, if you go as a parent, your kids may kind of go, ooh, pretty colors, and you just kind of, you know, grin and bear it a little bit. It's a little boring. Honestly, both my wife and I came away going, man, was that boring, you know?
Yeah. All right, so in a nutshell, give us your best, worst, and final grade on this.
Absolutely. Best thing about Rio, I said, pretty bird. It is really beautiful to look at.
Pretty bird, pretty bird.
Yes, exactly.
Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Worst thing, I said flight plan, and what I mean by that is I feel like this is one of those movies where they're like, okay, we have to make a sequel because we made a bunch of money, so let's figure this out. And they sat in a room and they tried to figure out the plot, and you can just feel how forced it is, you know, on the screen. It just doesn't work. Overall, I'd say a little less than mediocre even, C-.
C-. All right, thanks, Aaron. Next one, after tragedy strikes the Russell family, a brother and sister's worst fears are confirmed when their past comes back to haunt them in Oculus. So brief summary of what this one's about.
This is a horror film that is really more suspense than it is typical horror. So there's a lot more dread than there is gore. Now that's not to say there isn't any gore, as you know, with a typical horror film. It is there, but this kind of turns it on its head a little bit. It's about a mirror that plays a very central role in turning people into creepy people.
That one looks kind of creepy.
It very much is. But what I like about this one, and I don't usually like horror movies, it's just not my thing. What I do like about this one is that it starts in a place where we already know what's going on, and the person at the center is ready to take this thing down. So there's not that typical horror movie thing where it's like innocent people caught up in some sort of force, they don't know what it is. Right from the beginning, it's like, okay, here's the plan, we're gonna take this mirror down, here's how we're gonna do it. And that was kind of fun to see that little bit of difference, you know, in what was going on here.
Okay, so suspenseful I like.
Yes.
Do you need to be a fan of gore? You know, because I'm not a fan of that. But
no, you don't have to be a fan of gore, but I will say there is some there. It's not as prevalent as maybe others, but it's definitely something that's going to be in the movie. So if that is something you cannot stand, you don't want to go to a movie like this.
Okay, so best, worst, and final grade on this one?
Yeah, best thing about Oculus, I said, and so it begins. I like the way this jumps right into it, and we already know where we're going. Worst thing, I said, and never ends. This is way too long. It gets really slow, and also it gives this ending that isn't an ending, you know, to set up for the sequel that, you know, some of us hope won't happen, others maybe hope will. As far as an overall grade, I'd say right down the middle, a C.
Okay. All right, so 2 C's.
There is actually, I did want to mention, Draft Day is out this weekend as well. Kevin Costner. It's about the NFL draft, and that actually was my favorite movie that came out this week, and I think I gave it, a B, B- in that range, and so that might be one you want to check out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about football. Yeah, and you don't have to love sports to love it either. There's definitely some other stuff in there. So, and the NFL was involved, so it's all, very official looking and looks real. So,
all right, thanks. Your movie for an Aaron Dicer. More at ky3.com. Another beautiful day out there. Felicia will have one final look at the forecast.